On this episode of the Carolina Sports Guy, it's all about the U. We're going to dive in and look at the linebacker history for the Carolina Panthers coming out of the U, primarily two. Before we get into today's content, make sure you subscribe, folks. It doesn't cost anything. Hit that like button, pound it. Make sure you leave me some comments. I like the debates and I like the banter back and forth. And also hit the bell notification and be notified of future videos like this one on the Panthers, Charlotte Hornets, Carolina Hurricanes, and major college sports in the Carolinas. Okay, folks, I kind of wanted to look and just do a little shout out. I noticed sometimes some certain schools put out players, Penn State's linebacker U, and a lot of times people have looked at different schools for being a quarterback college or being a wide receiver U or a running back U, whatever it may be. But I look for the Carolina Panthers. We've had really good success for the linebackers out of the University of Miami. One of the first ones that we had was Michael Barrow early on. I believe he played high school football in Dallas, Texas, went to Miami, played on some great Hurricane teams. I believe he played for the New York Giants. He might have played for somebody else, but he had a stint here for the Carolina Panthers and looked really good. I think he was here about the time Sam Mills was here, maybe come around the time he left. But Michael Barrow, man, he was here, I think when Mark Fields was here too, but it looked really, really good early on for us. But the two linebackers I want to concentrate on, Dan Morgan, who we drafted 2001 to 2007, 6 years for us. And then Jon Beason, 2007, 2013. Of course, he did play a season or two more for the Giants. Now, comparing these two is the key. Who do you prefer? Now, we have to first kind of look that Dan Morgan was a first-round pick. He was the 11th player taken out of the U in the 2001 draft. Well, Jon Beason was a 25th player taken in the first round out of the U by the Carolina Panthers in the 2007 draft. So Morgan gets the advantage of being drafted earlier. Now, Dan Morgan played only a total of 59 games in 7 years for the Panthers, 59 starts. That was it for his career. He had a lot of concussions, folks, but he left his heart and soul on the field. He ended up with 5 interceptions, 390 tackles. The guy was a beast on the field. It just trying for him to stay healthy in these 7 years that we had, or 6 years he played for the Panthers, was really tough. 6 or 7 years, folks. Yeah, and you could do the math. I mean, he between 8 and 10 games a year is kind of what he averaged because of injuries and being hurt, and because he played more games than that. But it was a couple of years that he missed a lot of the season. Jon Beason now, same amount of time, 2007, 2013. He did play 72 games where he started 71. So he had 12 more starts, 13 more games than Morgan. So you got to give the advantage to Jon Beason. He had 9 interceptions where Morgan only had 5. Advantage again, Beason. The tackle total is the big deal. Where Morgan had 390 tackles, Jon Beason had 572. Advantage Beason. Now, a lot of people are going to look and say, man, Jon Beason had better numbers. But Beason also played with Thomas Davis. And then, by the time Beason's getting ready to leave, we got Luke Kuechly here. We've got a perennial defense, a good defense. Dan Morgan did play in the Super Bowl while Beason didn't. But Morgan, he had the likes of just other players on the field. I want to say that he had like maybe James Anderson, but Anderson might have been a go-between between Morgan and Beason. But Dan Morgan, he had some other players, just didn't have the caliber of linebackers to play with. Now, where we're going to look at Morgan being a better player is Jon Beason's, and it's not all Beason's fault, the 7 years that Beason played for the Panthers. 1 playoff game, folks. 8 tackles in that game. That loss to the Arizona Cardinals where Jake Delhomme shit the bed. So, you kind of look at that and think, man, what in the world happened? Well, injuries happen, things of that nature. You'd think he'd make the playoffs more. And he just played on some teams that were subpar. Some teams that were 7-9 and 8-8 and just couldn't crack, the playoffs. So his one will go around in the playoffs was a one playoff game lost to Arizona at 8 tackles. Dan Morgan, folks, played in a total of 7 playoff games, 59 tackles. Now, when you do the math, you're looking at 8.5, a little over 8 tackles a game, so they're kind of on par for the amount of tackles. But Dan Morgan was a key cog when we beat Dallas in that wild card game. And in the Rams game in overtime in St. Louis, he was very key. The Philadelphia game where we won in Philly for the NFC Championship. The New England game, Super Bowl, I forgot he had like, sometimes people were saying 25 touchdowns. 25 tackles in the game. I think he only had like 16 or 17. But at the time, I think it was an NFL record for a Super Bowl. He was all over the field in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. And then he comes back a couple of years later. The Giants game where he shut them out, he looked good. The Chicago Bear game, he was there, played well. And of course, in the Seattle loss, we had an NFC Championship game. He played in that as well. So Dan Morgan had more of an illustrious career in the playoff for the Panthers than Beason. So when you see which one is better, folks, it's really kind of hard to compare. It's like, what's the advantage of an apple to an orange? Well, it depends on what day of the week and which one you like better. If you're going to eat the skin, it's the apple. If you're looking for juice, it might be the orange. If you're looking for which one's better in vitamins, it may be the orange. If you're looking for taste, maybe you like apple better. Both are fruits, both are good for you. But it depends on what you like the best. For me, Dan Morgan, Jon Beason, I kind of look at it like this. Dan Morgan's career was cut short, I believe, because of concussions. He was a beast. Jon Beason, I think, had maybe a more meaningful career, even though it was the same length. But he just kind of deteriorated instead of falling right off the truck. Kind of sad the way he went out, especially when Kuechly came in the middle and took a spot. The writing was kind of on the wall and Gettleman traded him to the Giants. So I'm going to leave it up to you folks. Who do you prefer? Dan Morgan, Jon Beason? Of course, we both know, or I say we both know, those two guys know, as I do and you do, Carolina sports guy, that the greatest we ever had, Luke Kuechly. And then you still got to put Thomas Davis up there as well. So what do you guys think? Who do you prefer, Morgan or Beason? Let me know in the comments below. Pound that like button. Hit that bell notification to be notified of future content like this. And by all means, folks, subscribe. And we'll see you on another episode. Carolina Sports Guy.